What if Newcastle's next big signing wasn't just another player, but it was the key to tactical flexibility that Eddie Howe's been dreaming of? Now, Hugo Ekitike to Newcastle is a move that could redefine Newcastle's entire approach. Yes, we're both thinking of the same thing. Newcastle, 1996, the 4-4-2, Les Ferdinand, Alan Shearer, one of the most feared front lines across the world. And Eddie Howe has the same vision, to revive the 1996 team with Hugo Ekitike, Alexander Isak leading the line, with Hugo Ekitike being the connector of play, dropping deep, allowing somebody like Alexander Isak to run in behind. Now let's break down how this partnership could really work and what Hugo Ekitike could truly bring to Eddie Howe's team. Because if Newcastle were successful, this signing can spark one of the biggest tactical revolutions we've seen at Newcastle, starting one of their most penetrative of eras. So what are the three driving factors that make Hugo Ekitike to Newcastle a priority signing? Like the things he could bring to this team. Number one, tactical flexibility. Towards the end of the last Premier League campaign, I believe in Newcastle's last 3 to 4 games, we saw a different system, we saw different tactics, we saw a different formation. We saw Eddie Howe, of course, suspensions, injuries, but we saw Eddie Howe deploy his team in the 3-4-2-1 setup. A 3-4-2-1 setup Frankfurt set up in the Bundesliga, especially when they had Omar Mamouche, who's now at Manchester City. Are you beginning to see the vision, ladies and gentlemen? 3-4-2-1, and let's just say Newcastle played really well. They had the wing back. They had a 2 inside forwards. They had Alexander Isak leading the line. Hugo Ekitike at Frankfurt tended to play on the left-hand side with Omar Mamouche leading the line. But the thing that made Frankfurt so difficult to stop and it made them so penetrative was the fact that these players would constantly interchange with one another. And I believe this is what Eddie Howe wants heading into the new Premier League campaign. Having players up front, out wide on the left, out wide on the right, that can constantly interchange with one another. Very similar to Luis Enrique's PSG. So how would it work? How would it work with Hugo Ekitike and somebody like Alexander Isak? Hugo Ekitike, when you look at his overall game, if we were to break down what are his key strengths in possession, the kid is amazing in tight areas. His ability to drop the shoulder, his ability to play in those congested areas while still spotting his teammates, while still beating the opposition press in tight areas. He will be a game changer for Newcastle, whether it's in the first phase, the second phase, or the third phase where Newcastle can come up against a low block, feed him the ball into the box where he's got bodies all around him, holding them off, feeding the ball into somebody like Alexander Isak. You could even see from his time at Frankfurt, he can carry the ball out wide and then slip a teammate in. He can receive the ball as the main focal point in the central area, take it on the half turn, progress play, putting the ball in the right space at the right time. When you look at Newcastle, how they destroy teams on the counter, how sometimes they do play very vertical. Players like Harvey Barnes, players like Anthony Gordon, the new recruit of Anthony Elanga. If Alexander Isak was to stay, you've now got yourself a focal point for players to run off, and Hugo Ekitike can be that connector of play, the connector of dots for Newcastle. And the third driving factor, we mentioned it just a few seconds ago, counterattacks, transitions. How many Newcastle goals do you remember from last season where they punished the opposition by playing such a vertical brand of football? You don't always have to pass the ball 50 times to score a goal. Sometimes 1, 2, 3 passes and you're in. And I feel like Eddie Howe is trying to master that. He wants to make it the Newcastle specialty. When you've got players like Elanga, Anthony Gordon, Harvey Barnes, Alexander Isak, and then you add in somebody like Hugo Ekitike, who in my opinion is the best of both worlds. At Frankfurt played a very dynamic brand of football. But with Hugo Ekitike, you can now begin to play a variety of different ways. One, where Hugo Ekitike becomes the focal point on the counter-attack. Somebody that can drop deep to drag opposition defenders with him. And then you've got the space out wide for the wide plays to make the run inwards. But at the same time, Hugo Ekitike, as much as he's gifted technically, he is gifted physically. He can run you the channels. He can hold up the ball, wait for his team to push up, run in the channels, dragging players with him. This is what Eddie Howe wants. And these are the three driving factors behind why Hugo Ekitike to Newcastle is a priority signing, in my opinion. Besides the tactical ability where Newcastle can go into games flexing their muscles next season in a 4-4-2, something we haven't seen since 1966 from Les Ferdinand and Alan Shearer. You've now got yourself two dynamic strikers, two strikers that can play off one another, that have the skill set to destroy teams in the Premier League. Like, it's a priority signing for so many different reasons. But in my opinion, these are the three driving factors as to why Eddie Howe, Newcastle want Hugo Ekitike, and why Hugo Ekitike will be a massive success if the deal was to go through. Now, if you're new to HAJJBALL Extra, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.